What's going on, guys? Today we're doing pull. So feeling really good today, to be honest. Had some pink salt, had some Dilate by Magnum. Just nitric oxide enhancer, just helps you fill out your muscles and get a sick pump. I'm 1 meal in. To be honest, we're training a bit earlier relative to when I woke up. We're gonna start off with rope pull downs, and then we're gonna do chest supported rows. Honestly, there's just gonna be a lot of rows today and some lat movement. My lats are pretty good, but the focus really wants to be more thickness on my back. So let's get to it. Starting off with this, pretty much just to get the blood in, warm up before I get to any big compound movements. I'm still not at the free weight barbell rows or T-bar rows, which I usually do in my off season. At 613, Nick has a crazy chest supported row, which honestly I would rather incorporate that over like a bent over barbell row, simply because it's more controlled. I feel it more in my back. And again, like, exercise selection is important, but you want to pick movements that you can engage with more. So if I engage with the chest supported machine more than I do with bent over barbell rows, then that's an okay substitute. I'm gonna do one more set. Now let's make our way over to the machine chest supported row. So for today, I'm gonna put the grip a bit wider, just so I can put more of an emphasis on my upper back.
Any like specific movements that you find, I would say better for fitness, but like you prioritize for like getting a thick back, like that you have a go-to? Or is it any compound lift, or is there anything if you're trying to build thickness rather than getting width?
If you're trying to build thickness over width, honestly, any row. I've always stuck with either T-bar row, bent over barbell row, or rack pulls. Rack pulls are really good. You know, rack pulls, it's a hit or miss, to be honest. Sometimes with rack pulls, I find it's a movement that's it's very tedious. It's not something that you're gonna feel it, where like from here to here I'll feel my lower back, of course, but from here to here I rarely feel it in my upper back. Whereas you do rack pulls and you start slightly below the knees and then go back, it's amazing. Like the pump that you get, if you can engage properly, amazing.
Do you have an opinion on deadlifts? Like I know people have like talked about it, like, oh, deadlifting's bad for you, don't do it, especially if you're starting off, if you want to risk your back. Like, what's your opinion on like deadlifting as a whole, and like if it's truly beneficial or
So I find with deadlift, it's a lot more risk versus reward. Specifically because the way it positions your spine and your back. Like, look, at the end of the day, as a bodybuilder, you're gonna be training deadlifts to what? To work your glutes, partially your hamstrings, your lower back, your lats, and your upper back. These are all movements, are all muscle groups that you can train individually with other exercises and probably definitely get more out of those movements than just doing deadlifts. When you use deadlifts, like you go 3 plates, 4 plates, 5 plates, it is a very dangerous movement, and potential of risk is much higher than like a bent over barbell row that's also going to work your lats, your upper back, or like a stiff leg deadlift. That's going to work your glutes. That's going to work your hamstrings. Those and both bent over barbell row and stiff leg deadlift, you can actually engage in those muscle groups, isolate them a lot more effectively than deadlifts per se. Now, if you're a power lifter, that's another story. That movement requires a fuck ton of power to push. So, depending on your goals, but as a bodybuilder, when you see me do it, it's because I'm doing it more for fun. I love lifting heavy. I love squatting and deadlifting, but it's not always the smartest thing to do. So last week I did 35, so 25 and a 10. So today, let's push it. Let's do 40 each side. One thing about this machine, it actually humbles you. It doesn't seem like a lot of weight. It's 40 pounds each side, total 80 pounds. I'm actually dying. Like, oh, yeah.
That's when I put like the 10s on and I'm like, oh shit.
The first time I did this, I threw on 2 plates thinking like it's like a bent over barbell row or something.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even pick it up.
About how much you can like T-bar row and on a barbell. I can load up like 3 plates, go fine on it. But the moment I put 25 on this, it's like.
But the big thing about this one is it limits your ability to cheat. So you're very like strict. It's literally your back pulling. Nah, I like that a lot because I mean you're isolating your back even more.
Do you have an opinion on machine over free weight?
I used to, yeah. I used to definitely be more on the side of free weight because you know it's just more manly. It's machines are for pussies, but that was my old mentality. After 1 or 2 off seasons of incorporating a lot of machines and focusing on mainly chasing the pump, but also engaging in the muscle groups, whether it be through free weight or through machine. And often through machine, you can actually connect with the intended muscle group a lot more. I've actually noticed much more growth. There's obviously so many different variables that contribute to growth, that like things I've done differently each off season, but I've noticed that using machines, especially cables, where you can maintain consistent and constant tension, so it's amazing. It's good to have compound lifts, but don't be scared of using cables, machines. Like, I would say they're almost as good as doing free weight. Free weight, you get to use your stabilizers, it's more raw, but still the same end result. Last time I did this, like I said, I did 35s. I got the 35s for 10. This time, I'm getting 40s, but I got it for 8. So that means next time, I'm not gonna move up until, the rep range is supposed to be 8 to 10. So until I'm getting 10, but with adequate control, not cheating or anything like that, that's when I'm gonna move up. Because just because you hit the rep range, are you getting as much out of those reps with that weight? That's my outlook on progressing weights. Anyone can just keep loading weight on the bar, but it's gonna get to a point where I can probably do like another 25 pounds more on each side, but at that point I'm not really working the part of my back that I want to. I'm focusing more on just whatever my body can use to help me push that is what's going to be activated, and that's not what bodybuilding is about. Okay, so I got 10 on that one. Do you ever feel you load on weight, the first set you do, like you lift, let's say, like a lot less than the second set you lift, but with the same weight? Did you ever get that?
Not really, to be honest. There's times where like a little amount of weight, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I used to, like, I would think it's because you get used to a certain movement. That's why you're more comfortable. lifting heavier. That's another thing actually. Confidence behind the lift is everything. If you're like intimidated by the weight, chances are the weight's gonna make you its bitch. But if you're confident with it, you make the weight your bitch. So next up is close grip lateral lat pull downs. Doing close grip is puts a great emphasis on your lats from the front. So like the poses you hit from the front, or the front double bi, front lat spread. So it's a great movement to develop that.
Do you ever count tempo like during your workouts ever?
Pardon?
Do you ever count tempo when you're doing your workouts?
Yeah. I was doing tempo on the chest supported bar machine row. It's important for controlling the weight. If you can't maintain that control with the tempo that you're doing, then the weight's obviously too heavy. But I find tempo for certain movements, like doing it throughout the whole set, I think is, I don't know, I don't really do that the whole set, but like for example, the movement that we just did before, I'd go up quick, but I'd count 4 seconds down and then repeat. With this, it's the same thing. I go down 3 seconds and then I'll go back up 4 seconds. So this one is the eccentric and the concentric. I'll be timing it, but like compound lifts, I only factor in the eccentric. Okay, let's get it. First working set. Damn.
I find that like, because even myself, like I wish, that's another thing I wish I knew when I was younger was doing tempo. Like I feel like it would be such a valuable thing for people who are just like starting off, like to really understand. Because like when I was doing it, I was just repping things out. Like I wasn't factoring in like how much tension I was putting on my check. I was probably doing 1010. Like, do you find that that should be a thing that the younger generation or someone that's just actually getting into fitness should kind of understand and learn? Because I feel like it's not taught out enough or even at all. Because I went for years in the industry working out, and then no one really explained it to me, no one talked about it. Even like the top bodybuilders, they just kind of at times go through the motions without really explaining.
It's absolutely important and definitely crucial to implement, especially if you're starting off. I find most people, including me when I first started off, it's about just going through the movements. But as I got more experienced, it became that it shifted to like, the quality of the movement that I'm performing. So yes, if you want to build a strong foundation for people that are starting off, they want to build a strong foundation. The key is engaging with the muscle group that you're doing with the movement. So like if you're just lifting for the sake of lifting, I mean, sure, you'll grow, but you're gonna put a lot more strain on parts of your body that you may not intend to work out. Like I've seen people bicep curl like this. I've bicep curled like that when I started off, and I would feel in my lower back. How are you feeling a bicep movement in your lower back? Right? These are things that you got to be wary of. So if you're able to hone in on just building that connection with the muscle that you're trying to work out, that's gonna be so much more valuable in the long run for injury prevention, for growth. That was 2 sets. I'm gonna shift over to single arm, just to isolate the lat a bit more. 2 sets. Now, onto some more rows. My form started breaking down by like the 8th rep. I kind of knew that was gonna happen because like you kind of just know before a set, but that's fine. Like you want to push yourself, but within reason. Like I had to do a 10 on each side for a rep range that I'm doing 10 to 12. So like I did 12 pretty effortlessly the first set. This one, I got 8 with, I would say, clean form. Then the last 2, they start breaking down. But that's fine. Like that's how you force yourself to grow too. Like don't be throwing out weight and right from the get-go your form just starts breaking down. If it's like in this case where it's like the last set, you're already gassed and it's only 2 reps that are not the best reps, then it's fine. Sick. So she's never available.
What's your kind of mindset of like people focusing in between sets, like thinking about the next set, rather than be distracted on their phones? That like they should be focused, or it just kind of depends on if you're an intense bodybuilder or a casual lifter.
I mean,
because it's easy to get distracted with sets and then you know you're pressing 5 minutes rather than
I mean, it's the same philosophy with, let's say, schoolwork when you're studying. Are you making use of your time being distracted, being on your phone, talking to people? These are things that it comes down to your priorities, but also like your level of, I'd say, dedication. Now, not to say that people that are on their phone by default or people that are talking by default are not dedicated. But what I'm talking about is, look, I emphasize chasing a pump, contracting with the muscle, keeping your heart rate elevated to a certain extent. These things will go away the longer you're on your phone, the longer rest time you take, the more you spend talking to people. Like any of the workouts that we do, it's pretty rare that I'm on my phone. Usually I just put on D&D, or like I'll look at my phone in the sense of to know like what exercise I do next. Because I'm still getting used to the new program that I'm doing, so I still don't have it memorized. So I'll be looking at the rep ranges, the movements that we're doing. But or like if I get a phone call from my dad, like these are things that are understandable. But I think if you're in the gym, you're here to fucking work.
Watch your profanity.
Another thing is people factor in how long a gym session takes. I mean, a lot of people complain that like, oh, I don't have an hour to spare. I don't have 2 hours to spare. First of all, my training, this is off season. This is to grow. This is someone who's a competitive bodybuilder. I time myself 50 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes tops. If it's a leg day, hour and 10 minutes. Any other body part, usually 50 minutes. Now, when you're on your phone, when you're talking to people, that gets extended. I've had some of my best workouts in under 45 minutes. It's all the quality of the sets that you do. It's all the quality of the workout. By you being distracted, that's gonna reduce the quality. That's just, you're not using your time as efficiently as you could. Put your phone away for 45 minutes. Just shut the world out. Put a hood on, put a hat on, whatever it is, and just grind for 45 minutes. That's a lot more productive than someone training for an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 30 minutes, but taking longer rest times, being on their phone distracted. Probably gonna throw in one more extra bicep movement and then call it a day.
like Arnold, Frank Zane, they talked about it. Like there's multiple classic bodybuilders about flexing in between sets. Kind of the posing in between sets. Like, do you think that's like a lost art form, and that's why Golden Era was a little bit better in that sense, where there was more of that art form? But they also did, as like Frank Zane, just to get more blood into the muscle, trying to get basically as big as a pump as you can get, as well as practice when you're posing. Like, do you find yourself out posing? Do you find more people can do it, or if it's just like one of those egos in the gym, like you don't want to be the guy?
Well, the practical application of posing in between sets, at least the way I've seen it, is, for example, for one of the classic poses, mandatory, is a back double bi. Now, if you pose in between sets, you're essentially engaging the parts of the back double bi that you're flexing. But that being, I guess, you feeling where you're posing will translate to the movement that you're doing. And by you, like for example, when I pose like this, I feel it right where my erectors are. Like let's say like the lower part of my erectors, when I'm pulling down like that, that's still it's not a big part of your back, but it's still a very prominent part of your back that the judges will see. That will be on display. So when you do movements, you can kind of emphasize like, okay, I'm feeling there. So I'm gonna let's say I'm gonna do a row, I'm gonna do this. You're gonna learn to engage with that part of your back that you are gonna put on display. So it is very useful to pose in between sets. Now, I also think there's a give and take. Like, don't be a douchebag. Like, you're fully capable of posing with a hoodie on and just like, let's say I'm doing biceps. So really like flexing your biceps, but you don't need to like go in the middle of the gym and show the whole world that, hey, look at me, right? There is that ego, there's like that sense to it, but I do think a lot of people shy away from it because they don't want the spotlight on them. But like for example over here, we're in the corner, no one's looking at us, we're doing our own thing. It's perfectly fine. Like I would encourage it. Like in between sets, like I do try to, especially like a muscle group like back, where flexing your back, like engaging your lats is actually pretty hard. And maintaining that can be like a challenge on stage. So in between sets, literally just
see 10 guys having to flex off modern day. Like there's no, I feel like it's because we don't want to have that egotistical, even though back in the day it's just like, you could talk about the people's physique as you're kind of doing that group session of 5 guys flexing. Because now, I'll be honest, like, if I was to see 5 guys doing flexing shirtless in the middle of the gym, I'm like, oh, these fucking guys. Back in the day, it was kind of a thing where it's like, there was that support system where they wanted to have everyone flexing together.
Well, okay, one biggest thing is it also depends on the gym you go to. 613 lift, amazing. Like, you can literally pose and no one's gonna say anything to you. No one's gonna give you like the side eye, you know, like where you got Good Life, Movati, any of these commercial gyms, they're gonna look at you funny. Like I'll be in a muscle shirt on prep, for example, and like I'll get looks, you know, but like weird looks. Whereas at 613, you keep to yourself. That's a big thing. Now, as far as 10 guys standing side by side posing and you're not on stage, that I don't know, that's a little weird to me. Like I wouldn't really. You can have fun sometimes, you know, like it's totally it's encouraged. That's how you stay committed to the gym. But I don't know, I find like, especially a gym like 613 Lift where a lot of people compete, come here, it's a very similar mindset that everyone shares. Whereas like you come to the gym, it's like, hey yo, I need to be the best. And by being the best, I need to make my work ethic on point. I need to train on point. All these things go into that. Whereas having a flex off, I find would be a bit of a waste of time. But I mean, it depends who you ask too, right? There's some people that are always ready to flex.
And Zane always used to like actually stretch between sets. Like basically between sets he'd always stretch 15 to 20 seconds. Is that something like you ever tried? Or
Yeah. Actually, empty stomach, practice sucking in your stomach. And the more practice you do, the easier it is for you to, I guess, connect with that muscle group. And by default, you're able to pose it better. Like you're literally doing this after like a lat movement, and like feeling your lats pull, but then holding your lats upright, like meaning like flexed still, and then drop your arms. They look weird, but like they're fully flexed. Now, when I want to pose, super easy. Oh my god. So that's it for today's back session. That was a pretty crazy back workout, to be honest. We did rows, we did lats, we did biceps. I threw in a little bit of rear delts because that's still technically part of your back. And honestly, I feel like something like rear delts, you can never get too much out of that, especially with that being like that like calves, I find is like an often weak point in a lot of people, is rear delts. Well, yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.